Today I want to talk about one of the most undervalued and important aspects of wellness and health and vitality, and that's healing. I'm talking about mental, emotional healing. Obviously, if you have a physical injury, healing that injury is important, and I can help you do that as well. But I think more importantly, believe it or not, is mental and emotional healing. Because when we have a deep emotional or mental trauma that we're hanging on to, it can lead to so many issues that we maybe don't even realize are connected. Addictions, constant abusive relationships or toxic relationships, even if it's just like depression and anxiety that's leading you not to pursue your life in a really meaningful way. Maybe you're just feeling like, ugh, why am I even here? Or what's the purpose of all this? Or maybe you're afraid to follow your dreams, or you're afraid to ask for a raise or move to a place that you want to move, or whatever it is that's just making you feel stuck. All of these things, from the smallest to the biggest, from hardcore addictions to drugs to maybe just an occasional food binge, all of these things are a product of trauma, of undealt with and unmet trauma. Okay, so I like to compare this to a physical wound. Like, let's say you get a really deep gash in your arm, right? You have to clean it out. When you're cleaning it out, oh man, a lot of times that stings, it hurts, it's not comfortable, guys. And I can actually, when I was a kid, I fell off my bike going down this hill and skidded on my knee for like, I don't know, it seemed like a quarter mile or something, right? Had this huge open wound on my knee. And the cleaning it out did not feel very good. So I did it bare minimally and really just kind of brushed it off and distracted myself from it for maybe like a week, right? And I could feel it hurting, but I just kept keeping myself busy and having fun as a kid and trying to, blow it off basically, right? And then I woke up one morning and I couldn't move my leg. I got rushed to the hospital, and come to find out, if I would have waited one more day, they would have had to cut my leg off. That's how bad the infection was. So I almost lost my leg due to ignoring injury, ignoring a wound, okay? And it's the same thing when it comes to our mind and our emotions. If we go through even something as simple as your mom yelling at you for spilling milk when you're 2 years old. When you're 2 years old, you don't have this understanding of the world. Everything feels very personal. You internalize everything. So your mother yelling at you for milk can turn into, I'm not good enough, I'm an idiot, or I'm not allowed to make mistakes. That can be the end of the feeling that gets lodged within you from that experience. Where obviously if you're 30 years old and somebody yells at you for spilling milk, you'll just look at them like, what is your problem, right? But when we're young, especially before we're 7 years old, we don't really have that defense mechanism, I guess you'd call it, we don't have that sense of self, that sense of other, that sense of understanding of this person's just going through something. We take everything as, oh my God, I did something wrong. That's why children, a lot of times when their parents get divorced, they blame themselves, because it's a natural thing for kids to do. All right, so when we go through these wounds at a young age, they turn into patterns or something that we're constantly self-soothing or running away from. There's a lot of ways that we deal with it, and that's the bulk of it, is either we self-soothe through addictive behaviors, we run away from, we avoid situations that feel similar. So maybe you got laughed at the park as a kid for doing something that was embarrassing, and now you avoid big social situations. Maybe now you don't like to speak in public or be in large crowds, and that's holding you back from maybe some of your goals or aspirations, right? So these are just examples, but this is why it's so important, because I could give you all of the solutions for your nutrition, give you all of the solutions for your fitness, give you all the solutions for advancing your career and really following your soul's purpose and doing something that's really fulfilling for you. I could give you all the solutions to improving your relationships. But if you're holding on to a lot of mental and emotional trauma, none of that'll matter. Because once you get triggered, you'll reverse back. Maybe you'll use some of those solutions for a period of time, but then something can happen and just sends you all the way back. And you start using those old coping mechanisms again to deal with the trauma that hasn't really been dealt with, right? So we have to go in and we have to deal with the wound. We have to clean the wound. We have to sew it up sometimes, stitch it up. We have to reset it. We have to do things that help that wound actually heal so that it's not this raw, open, infected, disease. And it's really easy to notice when we have a physical disease, but when we have a mental, emotional disease, a lot of times we don't even notice it. We don't realize that that's why we're angry all the time, or that's why we're sad all the time, or that's why we're afraid to follow our dreams, or that's why we're getting in constant cycles of toxic relationships. We don't realize that it's from something that happened many years ago, that there's this actual wound inside of our emotional bodies or inside of our mind, okay? So this is why I utilize a combination of shamanic breath work, which is a very, very deep style of breath work. It's something that's very palpable. You'll notice the results because you'll feel everything happening. You get immediate changes in your body. You'll express emotion, you'll let out emotion, and you'll feel different afterwards. You'll feel clearer, okay? And then intuitive journaling and intentional journaling, so actually writing down some of the things that maybe came up during that shamanic breath work, because when we do the shamanic breath work, a lot of times it'll actually dislodge and bring up old memories and things that maybe you had suppressed and didn't even remember until all of a sudden you did the breath work and it pops up and you go, oh my gosh, I forgot about that. I didn't realize that impacted me so intensely. All right, and so then we write them down. We start to find the patterns and connect it to, okay, this made me feel not good about myself. This made me feel like I was constantly in danger, or I couldn't trust the world around me. This made me feel betrayed, unloved, all these things that then, again, we hold on to and then either run away from, or we find patterns that repeat these cycles so that we can live in a sense of familiarity, or we numb out with substances or distractions. So then, after we do the journaling and the breath work, we go into some inner child work, and we really heal and go deep into those inner wounds and heal the inner child. And I know you've probably heard of most of these things before, but when you combine all three, the breath work, the journaling, and the inner child work, it's a really complete system for addressing these deep inner wounds, okay? So that's really what I want to talk about today. I'm going to put a link in the description to my instruction video on the shamanic breathwork if you do want to try to do it on your own. I suggest reaching out. I'll do a one-on-one session with you, or if you don't like me, you don't resonate with me for some reason, you can find other practitioners online through Google who do holotropic or shamanic breathwork. But if you do it with a practitioner, you tend to get more out of it. Okay, but if you are one of these people that's just really bullheaded and gonna figure it out for yourself, then I will help you with that. I have the instruction video on how to do it linked in the description, along with some of the tracks, because there's soundtracks that you can play while doing this style of breath work that really enhance the benefits of it. And then I have in my program, which I won't link, but if you reach out, if you shoot a comment or a DM, I can send you this part of the program that has the intentional journaling instructions on how to really take what you get out of the breath